Hello and welcome to episode 7 of deValiante Reads Highway Blossoms by Studio Elon. This kinetic novel was part of Humble Bundle's bundle for racial justice and equality. It also contains strong language, sexual themes, and deals with loss and grieving. If you are not in a headspace to handle these topics, please consider skipping this video. Now, without further ado, let's get started.
Amber, what the heck?
Her voice is shaky from being jolted around.
I know where the treasure is.
I yell behind me as I turn to look and see the trio next to the restaurant close behind us. Joe's carrying Tess on his back.
I know where it is.
I say it again to assure myself. We reach the motorhome seconds after Mariah and her crew reach theirs. I practically hurl Marina up into her spot before I leap into my own. Not even bothering to buckle up, I hurry towards the road. Less than a minute and we were already falling behind. I watch Mariah's taillights as she speeds up the road, horn blaring to scare away from the cars and fortunate enough to be in her lane. I'm going as fast as I dare to, worried about cops that could be lurking around one of the bends in the road. But I can't let her out of my sights. There's no room to pass yet, but I have to watch for an opportunity. With one hand, Marina clutches the headrest bar of her seat. Then she leans over and past my face, nearly causing me to swerve from shock.
What are you...
She grabs my seatbelt and buckles me in. Then she does the same for herself.
Okay, now that we're at least not gonna die if you hit something, can you tell me what exactly is happening?
Just like little lightning. She sounds a little frantic and a little curious.
Okay, so do you remember Balanced Rock?
It wasn't one of the places we visited earlier today, but it was one of the spots that's on a poster in lots of the ads.
I think so, or at least hearing about it.
There used to be another really famous rock right next to it. Smaller, but a similar shape and everything. They called it Chip Off the Old Block.
What do you mean, used to be?
I was getting to that. A long time ago, like 50 years or something, it fell. Now you can't even tell it apart from the rest of the rocks on the ground.
50 years. So that was...
Her eyes go wide in understanding, a fact which I look away from Mariah's rear to take in.
So it was still standing when the miner came through!
Yeah, exactly. I'll bet you anything he hid the treasure between Balanced Rock and what used to be Chip.
I look over again to smile at her, only to see a genuine admiration and awe in her face. Her eyes are wide and her mouth slightly open. Like always, I can't look at her for too long, or it starts to make me uncomfortable. Nothing I've said or done is that impressive. Even Mariah knew about Chip. But instead of singing my praises again, she just faces ahead with a little smile. Then her face crumples up.
Amber!
I see it.
A semi has begun pulling out into the road ahead of us. There's no passing lane, so I can't get around him that way.
Damn it!
I tap the brakes since I have to stop and wait for him to get onto the highway. Ahead, I can still see Mariah, but just barely. A few of the cars between us have exited, but her lead has grown. And so I make a quick, reckless decision.
Hold on to something!
What are you...
I don't wait for her to finish her question, since she grabs onto her seatbelt as she asks it. To answer, I yank the wheel to the left and into the other lane, even though it's a no-pass zone. Headlights far ahead are speeding toward us, maybe a quarter mile away. Getting closer. A concrete barrier prevents me from going any further to the left. I smash the gas pedal to the floor, putting all my weight on it. Marina begins to moan with dread at the oncoming car. It's a wordless sound, or maybe the start of my name. My heart is in my throat, and I can feel beads of sweat on my forehead. One slides down into my eye, but I can't wipe it away. We're even with the semi now, who seems to be stopping. He probably noticed me and is waiting for me to complete my illegal pass. The car ahead of us is close enough that I can see it in our headlight beams. It's a maroon SUV. They're braking as they approach, but I'm still accelerating, going as fast as I could, and that I couldn't stop in time if I wanted to. Like a missile, we shoot forward. I'm at least double the speed limit right now. We come within the front of the semi, which is hardly rolling. The SUV has come to a complete stop, but there's barely any room between it and the semi now. And then suddenly we're past the cab of the truck. I wrench the wheel of the right, hard right, throwing us back into our lane. We zoom past and stopped SUV. who gives me a small, well-deserved horn blaring. The bassy sound of the semi's horn still booms behind us. But it doesn't matter, because we're okay. We didn't die. I need to breathe. A need to breathe hits me, and I realize that I've been holding it in. I sigh, adrenaline still coursing through me.
Oh my god! Amber!
Her voice cracks and she starts to laugh hysterically. I do too, laughing away the anxiety of the last half minute. It felt like much longer. And it's not entirely over.
Don't get too comfy.
Her hands shoot back to where she was hanging on.
Uh-oh.
Just ahead, Mariah still has a lead, but shrinking quickly. I wonder if she saw how I caught up. Jamming the gas pedal down, I start to narrow the distance even more. She takes the exit for Arches, just a few seconds ahead of me. We blaze through the entry point, flashing our passes at rangers who barely have time to check them. Even in the darkness, there are lots of people on the sides of the road. I wonder if anyone else had the same realization we did about Chip. Mariah's starting to gain ground again, so I mash the accelerator further down, but her motorhome is newer than mine and it's hard for me to keep up. If I'm going to beat her there, I have to do it soon. I check to make sure that Marina's still holding on tight. She is. Just a few feet behind Mariah's RV, I illegally swing into the other lane yet again. This is even more risky because of the way the road curves all over the canyon. An oncoming car could round a bend and completely blindside us. Hope that doesn't happen. By pushing the RV to its absolute limits, I'm able to break even with Mariah. Looking over, I can see wild flare in her eyes, hair disheveled. Her expression changes to one of shock when she notices us beside her. I relish the look of disbelief as I nudge the wheel to the right. There's a god-awful scraping as the motorhome brushes against Mariah's. Her eyes, as well as Marina's, widen. Seconds after we pull apart, Mariah's vehicle lurches towards us, and again there's a sound that makes me want to rip off my ears. I fight to keep control of the motorhome and stay on the road. Awestruck bystanders watch as we pass by, but I hardly register them. Still neck and neck, we continue toward Balanced Rock. Through insane luck or divine intervention or something, the road ahead is clear. I won't try to shove them off the road again, because there are now steep drop-offs that could actually be fatal. But I do have to do something to gain edge. Just arriving seconds before her isn't enough. A sign visible for just a split second informs us that there are 5 miles to Balanced Rock. What might have been an arrow or an exit has been scuffed by illegibility. Maybe that's our chance. Up ahead, barely illuminated by a flickering lamp, the road splits into 2 directions. A sign in the middle is smashed and folded in on itself, probably the result of someone's reckless driving. One of these paths leads to Balanced Rock, but I don't know which. I'm willing to bet Mariah doesn't either. From Marina's window, I can see Mariah shoot me one of the final death glare before they rocket off down the exit. We stay on the other branch, though I'm back in the proper lane now. Just gotta hope it's the right branch. As I start to calm down yet again, I realize my legs are shaking. Marina cranes around to watch Mariah's vehicle, which is quickly disappearing into the murk. Once it's fully out of sight, she turns back to me, her face as white as her knuckles.
You okay?
Guilt stabs me. I may have seriously traumatized her. With 2 incidents, within minutes of each other. After taking a deep breath, she unclenches her fist.
Can we never, ever do that again? That was insane. Super insane. Like, oh my god. I thought I was gonna die. Wait. Did we die?
Probably.
Am I just imagining this now?
I don't think you could imagine stuff if you were dead, kid.
That's the kind of thing a dead person would say. Like in that one movie, where it was all about that guy who could talk to dead people, except...
Fine. I'm 90% sure we're not dead then.
Okay. 90%. That's not bad. And being a ghost might be kind of cool, too. You could spy on people without them ever knowing.
I'll keep that in mind if there's ever someone I want to haunt.
Our voices are shaky even though our conversation isn't serious. I keep checking the rear view, expecting to see the headlights of Mariah's approaching vengeance, but so far we're in the clear. Each passing minute that we don't see the rock itself, though, makes me worry that we took the wrong turn. Right on the verge of turning around and tailing Mariah, another sign suddenly looms up ahead of us. We've reached Balanced Rock. I slow down as we approach the parking area. While not empty, there are far fewer people than there were at the Double Arch earlier today. A good number of them look like they might just be sightseers, since they're standing around talking or looking at the stars instead of searching. Parking is easy, since there are a lot of open spaces. When I stand up, my legs wobble. I stumble, grabbing Marina's shoulder for support. She smiles at me, but doesn't say anything. No more jokes to crack. It's time to get serious. We grab our equipment and hurry out into the night air. Solid ground feels foreign after the rocketing motorhome. This must be what it feels like to return from a voyage at sea. Marina, the landlubber, doesn't seem to be having any trouble now that we're not barreling along the highway. The spring in her step has returned, and I worry that she's going to bang the metal detector against the ground as she half walks, half skips. Some of the other people watching us go, but no one follows or says anything. They probably assume we're just the next line of failures. A line which must be pretty long given how much trash and misplaced earth there is around here. Pangs of guilt remind me yet again of the broken brick at the Canyon de Shell, and I make my umpteenth resolution to be more careful. Just ahead, Marina's come to a stop, head tilted back. I can tell she's admiring Balanced Rock. It's certainly an impressive view. Someday I'd like to take her back to all these places we've gone, but without the pressure of the treasure hunt rushing us, just taking in the sights. I slow my steps a little so I can keep watching her from behind. Maybe sensing me, she spins around and waves.
Hurry up!
Yelling even though I'm close enough to hear her normal volume level. I pick up the pace once more.
So where was Chip?
Over there, to the right.
There's a large stone wall besides Balanced Rock itself, with a short slope between them.
It was right at the edge of that little hill.
So where that pile of rocks is now?
Yep, that's the spot.
You can't tell that there used to be anything there, but I've seen pictures in the atlases Gramps kept around, or in the history books he liked to read. Compared to Balanced Rock, Chip off the old block looked tiny, but it was actually a decent size. There's a pile of stones at the base that are probably Chip's remains. They're indistinguishable from the rest of the red rocks, though. Some are as big as my head, or even bigger. It's hard to tell if anyone else has picked through here, but since there aren't any shovel marks or holes, I'm guessing not.
Where do we start?
I think for a moment.
First, let's get the easy stuff out of the way. You go check that side with the metal detector, and I'll check this one.
We sweep over the ground between the hill where Chip once stood and the massive stone wall beside it. Nothing.
Okay, that's pretty much what I expected.
I lean my metal detector against the wall and go back to the pile of rocks.
Just check over the places that I uncover, okay?
Marina nods, holding her detector at the ready. She reminds me of a surgeon about to perform an operation. I roll aside some of the rocks with my feet, but most are so big that I have to stoop down and use my hands. There are more of them than I thought, and soon I'm sweaty and sore.
Do you want any help?
Nah,
I'm panting.
just keep scanning.
She does so dutifully, retracing my steps. Still nothing. After a couple minutes, I stand up and take a swig from a water bottle. I'm glad I remembered to bring them this time. Marina sets down her metal detector to do the same.
Do you think Tess and them are okay?
Why wouldn't they be?
Don't you think Mariah's gonna flip out when she realizes she took the wrong turn?
Probably. That's her fault, though.
Not like you would have let her go down this side of the road.
Hey, I did what I had to do.
Uh-huh. But you're never going to do that again, okay?
If we get the next treasure too, I won't have to.
When we get it, you meanie.
Right. When?
Only one more to go after this. One more frantic search, and then I drain my water bottle and crumple it up before shoving it into my pocket.
Break's over. Back to work.
I pop my back and resume moving rocks out of the way. I've been working from the outer edge of the rock pile inward, since they're more concentrated in the center. Like a shadow, Marina continues to stick to me, going where I go. Nearly 10 minutes of uninterrupted shuffling pass. By now, I'm expecting Mariah to have caught up, or to get here soon. But she never arrives. Maybe she just gave up. Although, knowing Mariah, that's just wishful thinking. I've just finished moving a torso-sized rock when it happens. The metal detector begins to chirp, bright and earnest. Marina and I exchange a look, and I nod.
I'll get the shovel!
It's leaning up against the wall by the second metal detector. Marina grabs it, starts back towards me, and then doubles back to set her detector aside as well. I move to take the shovel from her, but she holds it away, shaking her head.
Nuh-uh. You moved all the rocks.
Yeah, but
She frowns at me, and I can tell this is an argument I won't win.
Okay. Be careful, though. Don't throw out your shoulder.
I know what I'm doing.
She grabs at the ground. She stabs at the ground like she's wielding a salad fork. It bounces off with a jolt.
You need to go at it with more of an angle, like you're trying to slide it into the ground.
I move behind her and adjust her arms a little. Her shoulders are damp with sweat, though I'm drenched with it. She tenses up when I first touch her, but relaxes almost immediately. It's enough to make me self-conscious, though, and I take a quick step back.
Sorry.
I'm mumbling.
Oh, no, you're fine. You just surprised me.
Her voice is higher than usual.
It's okay. You should have it now.
Nodding, Marina jabs at the ground again. She scoops out a little bit of dirt and dumps it aside. Watching her dig is painful. Either the ground is hard or she's not strong enough to make fast progress. Whatever the reason, it's slow going, but she refuses my repeated offer to take over. So with my hands on my hips, I watch as the hole very slowly gets deeper. She reaches a depth of maybe a foot or so when the shovel thumps against something that isn't dirt. Our eyes instantly meet. I stoop down and brush a little dirt away from the shovel blade. Sure enough, I can feel rough wood just under my fingertips.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Now she forces the shovel towards me.
I don't want to mess it up.
Okay. Look out.
She steps back a couple feet, but leans back toward to watch. I scrape at the dirt around the spot that we hit, trying to find where the edges are. Once I reveal one corner, I start to dig off thin slices of dirt next to it. Soon the outline of the whole box is visible. I hear Marina suck in a sharp breath. My heart is pounding with the same cautious excitement I felt at Shiprock. It hardly feels real yet. Well, there's only a 10% chance that I'm dead, and it isn't. I lift the box out of the ground with the blade of the shovel, and Marina plucks it off. It makes a familiar rattling sound as she moves it. But I hold up a dirty finger to my lips.
Not yet.
Looking back towards the parking lot, I can't tell if anyone sees us. Seen us dig and find the treasure.
Don't say anything until we get back to the car.
She's quivering. She's a quivering leaf of excitement, but she manages to keep her mouth mostly shut for now. But not before hissing out an excited Amber. I just smile, hoping that I look calm. Marina cradles the box in the crook of her arm like an infant, doing her best to keep it hidden from onlookers as we head back to the motorhome. She carries the shovel in her free hand while I have both metal detectors. We don't even notice the soreness in my arms. Though it's not the first time, the excitement of sitting down in front of the sealed box of gold feels fresh and new. This one feels heavier than the last one, and it rattles less, like there's not as much empty space. Without being asked, Marina retrieves the screwdriver and hammer that I've been using to smash the locks. She sets them down in front of me, but I offer them to her.
Care to do the honors?
You sure?
But she takes them.
Yeah, why not?
Her face lights up with a look of happiness that's worth more than the gold. If I'd known it was that big a deal to her, I'd let her do this back at Shiprock. It takes a couple tries, but she bashes the lock off without even damaging the rest of the box. She looks to me to open it, but I shake my head.
Nope, that's all you.
But she shakes her head too.
We worked together to find it, so we'll open it together.
And she places her hand over mine, guiding it to the lid.
Ready?
Yeah.
She maneuvers my hand to flip the box open. It's full of dull-colored nuggets, like a moldy fast food meal. I take one out, bouncing it on my palm and feeling the heavy softness that's almost familiar by now. Then I pass it to Marina, who treats it with her usual reverence. She gently sets it back into the box and then smiles.
We're pretty good at this whole treasure hunting thing, huh?
I shut the box and nod.
Yeah, we're not bad.
Even when the box is closed, it radiates a heavy aura, one that's almost intimidating wherever I come near it. I place it in the drawer and seal it away, a sigh of relief following.
2 down, 1 to go.
Whoa, there's only one more piece left?
I think so. There's only some experts writing about historical relevance after the next entry.
Flopping down on the couch next to Marina, I take a sip of my coffee and flip to the final entry of the journal. Marina glosses over the page, a hazy look forming in her eyes as she soaks it in.
I can't believe it's almost over.
Yeah, it's weird that it hasn't even
been that long. The motorhome goes quiet, the buzz of the generator humming in the background.
Well, it's not over yet. We still gotta figure out where it is, and then there's still the search.
I think Marina's enthusiasm is becoming infectious. She simply nods now, just gazing into her lap.
Well, let's see what it says.
After several days of travel, I believe I have finally arrived at my first destination. It is well known I have an astute eye for locations. After all, this is how I found my precious bounty. So it is no mistake that I easily found the perfect hiding place within this valley. I arrived on horseback at the blistering peak of noon, looking for shelter from the coming night. I began noticing something different, something distinct. Crimson, all of it, shades lighter than pink and darker than blood. The color stained it all, from giant unmovable stones to the tiniest grains of sand. It was as if the land had absorbed the sun's heat and reflected it outwards. Even at sunset, the cave I settled in emanated a bright red glow that speckled out from its opening. That night, as I laid on the ground watching the flames of my fire shoot up to the cave's roof, I wondered if there was more places like this out in the unsettled land. During my travels on the trail, I was too preoccupied with preparation to observe the world around me. But now that I have achieved success, maybe I shall. It would be a shame if my superb observational skills went to waste. Gross. I was never certain about the other locations, and considering how many giant rocks, canyons, and arches are in this country, most of them were probably just a fluke. But this was unmistakable. The vivid and breathtaking imagery, the constant allusions to flames, and most importantly, the heat.
He hid it in the Valley of Fire.
Marina snaps back to attention, my conviction pulling her back from Marina Land.
Are you sure?
What are you doing? Stop getting tangled in cords, please.
Positive. There's no other place it could be.
Oh.
She might as well have shot down my momentum with an elephant gun.
Oh, that's all?
Yep.
No.
Ooh, what's that? A place always on fire?
She narrows her eyes to an unimpressed squint. If they could shoot lasers, they would right now.
Amber, how dumb do you think I am?
I didn't say you were...
Always on fire, really?
Now I feel dumb for saying it.
You probably should.
Ouch. If her enthusiasm is infectious, then so is my unrelenting realism. It's corrupting her innocence.
By the way, what's the Valley of Fire?
Uh-huh. Well, maybe not too infectious. Massaging my scalp, I shake my hair, hopefully creating enough new wrinkles in my brain that will help with explaining this.
Alright, so take a whole bunch of rock, sand, and dirt, okay?
Okay.
Now make most of it red.
My explanation is met with a vacant stare.
I swear, it's a lot cooler than I'm making it out to be. It's just kind of hard to explain without pictures.
Don't worry, I believe. Sounds awesome. Where is it, anyway?
A little ways into Nevada.
Nevada?
Her knees bounce, jolting the table.
Are we even old enough to gamble?
There's more in Nevada than Vegas, dummy.
Still, isn't that pretty far?
That might work to our benefit. I'll need to check the map again, but I think we'll be passing by a place I want to check out.
Her voice brightens.
You actually want to go sightseeing?
Don't act so surprised. It's not like I was gonna make a straight shot for California before I picked you up. Besides, I think you might like it.
Though she does like virtually everything.
It's a place called Zion. It's a national park here in Utah. I hear it's a hell of a lot greener than the places we've been through. I know we're in a rush, so we won't stay very long.
She's going to burst from excitement, and I still can't resist messing with her. It's cute.
But I guess if you don't think we can afford the time...
I expect her to throw herself at me, hug me, squeeze me with all the energy and happiness she usually does it with. But she doesn't. Sitting perfectly still, Marina takes a single breath and gazes at me with a smile.
I've been surrounded by desert all my life. Seeing green for once would be nice. I'd love to go with you, Amber.
An unsettling hollowness expands in my chest as I realize I don't know how to deal with serious Marina. What are you doing? What did I tell you about getting tangled in cords?
Oh, all right then.
She doesn't answer, eyes now closed, arms folded in her lap. The empty, cooperative smile more forced than ever.
Well, there's still a lot of hours left in the day. I'm not sure if we'll make it in time to check into the campground, but we'll be close enough that we can do it in the morning if we leave now.
Marina nods. We scooch out of the booth and walk the 10 awkward steps to our seats. Strapping ourselves in, I switch on the ignition, the RV snorting into being. I reach for the cassette player, then look to Marina, already lost in her thoughts as she stares out the window. I don't have the heart. No. I don't have the courage to snap her out of it this time. Sighing, I bring my hand back without pressing play and pull the motorhome into drive. It's too bad, too. I think I'm really starting to like Marina's hugs. Hours and several cups of coffee later, we arrived at our destination, or at least close enough to easily check in the morning, yet enough not to get towed, yet hidden enough not to get towed. Marina looks out to the window, but her eyes drift back over to me, then mine to hers. For one drawn-out second, our eyes are interlocked, petrified by the other's stare. Then time continues. Our heads swing in the other direction so fast it takes my mind a few moments to catch up. The side of her cheek I can still see is flushed. Glancing in the rearview mirror, I find mine are too. I grip the steering wheel, then cautiously, without turning my head, look back to Marina. She notices. Our eyes connect again. Blush, rinse, repeat. The past 4 hours have been excruciating, especially while fighting the urge to throw on music. I wanted to give Marina the space she needed to say what she has to, or give myself the space to blurt out what I need to say. It was just... Again, Marina looks, I jump, we blush. Never the right time. Deciding I've had enough, I hop out of my seat and stretch. Marina follows. I grab my mug from the holder and drag myself across the scratchy carpet to the sink. A small jolt shocks my fingers as I reach for the faucet. The mug slips from my hand and crashes to the counter, splashing coffee everywhere.
Crap. Let me help.
Marina springs over and reaches for a kitchen rag, but I swat down her hand and grab it just as she does.
Don't worry.
Now we're forced to look directly at each other, but there's no blushing this time. I nod and pull away the rag as her fingers slide down the fabric.
I got this.
She stares down at the counter, the spilled coffee trickling into the floor with a steady drip.
Oh.
Without another word, she slouches back onto the couch.
If you give me a sec, I can set up the bed.
The bed's metal frame slams down with a loud clink that vibrates underneath my feet, followed by a couch cushion swishing past me, landing on the other side of the motorhome.
For ya.
Damn it. Whatever, I'll deal with this in the morning. I toss the rag into the sink and head to my room, hesitating in front of the slider. Please don't let it end like this.
Amber.
There's a pause. Several times I hear a small gasp, like she's about to speak, but they all just melt into sighs.
Good night.
Night.
My hand balls into a fist, my fingernails clawing deep into my skin. I step into the room and shut the slider behind me, immediately throwing my face onto the pillow. I can feel my heart pounding as I roll onto my back, lying there twisted up in my sweet sheet. It just keeps beating and beating, never settling down. Managing to lift myself onto my elbows, I look at the picture next to the slider. The one with the vinyl sleeve. I still remember how his hand felt against my head, from the bony joints of his fingers to how their calluses massaged my scalp. For such a breezy old man, it's amazing to think of just how strong and confident his love was. I let my hand fall back against the bed and rest my forearm over my face.
Oh man, what am I gonna do, Gramps?
Thank you for joining me for episode 7 of Highway Blossoms by Studio Elon. Episode 8 will be out shortly. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment letting me know what you like down below. Please no hate or spoilers, as I'm not above removing those comments and the people who make them. That's all for now, folks, and I'll see you next time.